Indigenous Child Welfare in Saskatchewan.
17% of Saskatchewan's population is Indigenous. As a result, there is a higher rate of Indigenous children overrepresented in the child welfare system. This is due to the historical effects of colonialism. In Saskatchewan, Indigenous people were affected by residential schools, 60 scoops, and day schools. The effects of colonization deeply affected Indigenous family systems with trauma. Every Indigenous person in Saskatchewan has been affected by intergenerational trauma, and this trauma manifests as substance abuse issues, child maltreatment, poverty, housing insecurity, job insecurity, and loss of culture and identity. Canada's child welfare system was built on Eurocentric assumptions about family, parenting, and child well-being, which has resulted in practices that frequently marginalize Indigenous worldviews, relational caregiving, and kinship systems. In residential schools, the family systems in Indigenous communities were broken. The schools removed traditional ways of knowing, which resulted in a loss of parenting knowledge. This loss of parental knowledge still exists today, which leads to more neglect and abuse in Indigenous homes. Indigenous people face higher rates of poverty, inadequate housing, systemic racism, and underfunding. Instead of supporting Indigenous families in prevention work by relieving poverty, providing adequate housing, ensuring equitable treatment in systems, or increasing funding to social programs, child welfare workers move directly to apprehension. The first part of supporting truth and reconciliation is the truth aspect. We need to acknowledge that child welfare systems have harmed Indigenous families in the past, and social workers had a direct part in causing that harm. The second thing is to recognize that the child welfare system is still a continuation of colonial practices. As social workers, there are a few ways we can practice that supports truth and reconciliation. 1. Integrate trauma-informed care into practice. 2. Educate yourself on Indigenous people's culture, history, and worldviews. 3. Acknowledge your own power and privilege in relation to the family you're working with. 4. Focus on reflection. There's always room to learn, grow, and evolve as a social worker. Involve the elders and community members in the work you are doing. Build respectful and authentic relationships with Indigenous communities. Respect Indigenous self-determination by involving First Nations into areas of child protection.